As the old saying goes, honesty is the best policy, and I would bet to believe, my friend, you are looking for an honest assessment, somebody to tell you the specifics about an area so you're not feeling sold, so you're actually getting deliverable information to be able to make a major decision like a move. I've taken information from friends of mine that have lived here their entire life, as well as clients just like you that have decided to move to Bentonville and make it their home. We're going to look at factors such as infrastructure, schools, crime, real estate, activities, restaurants, healthcare, just to make sure we have a broad spectrum of a true assessment of Bentonville. If you've done any research about Northwest Arkansas in general, you may know that the region that Bentonville is located in, here the northwest corner of Arkansas, statistics say that there are 36 net people a day moving to Northwest Arkansas. That's around 13,000 people a year moving to Benton, Washington, and Madison counties. Now, breaking it down specifically to Bentonville, according to World Population Review, Bentonville, Arkansas's population is right around 61,000 people, with an anticipated growth track over the next 5 years to 2029 of around 68,800 people. For those of you that don't want to do the math, I went ahead and did it for you. That's a daily breakdown net of just over 4.25 people moving here in Bentonville every single day. Said another way, a family of 4 or more are moving to Bentonville every single day. Now, when you have a town that's growing that much, of course you need to consider future factors. Is this growth sustainable? What does it look like for schools and infrastructure, roads, electricity? And that's exactly what we're digging into. At the end of this video, I'm going to give you my honest opinion as to maybe a few things that the city planners, people here, the powers that be in Bentonville need to do in order to keep up with the sustainable growth. I'm not a city planner. I'm a local real estate broker giving you the information from my perspective. With so much growth, I'm sure maybe one thing that comes to your mind is traffic. Now, depending on where you are in the country, unless you're way out somewhere in a rural city, there's going to be traffic at certain times of day. There's school traffic, there's morning rush hour, there's evening rush hour. Maybe you're coming from a major city or even a mid-market city. Let's say it's Sunday and there's a professional sports team that just got done with their event. There's going to be traffic at those times. So can we agree there's going to be higher levels of traffic throughout the day, no matter where you live in the country? But the people that are here locally, that live here already, are seeing this type of growth and saying, there's new buildings that are being constructed. There's new schools that are being built. There's housing developments everywhere in Bentonville. How can we keep up with this much growth? Well, my friend, unless we do something about it, we cannot. Areas of bottlenecks in Bentonville you might be interested to know about are most anywhere along Walton Boulevard, Highway 102, Highway 72. Personally, we live on the west side of Bentonville, and so Rainbow Curve, right here where Walton goes north on the west side of town, there's always a bottleneck right there coming home from picking my girls up at their events. Additionally, with infrastructure, we have to consider electricity and the amount of people that are using electricity on our local grid. I, for one, have my iPhone plugged in. I've got a light that's right behind you that's plugged in. We've got electricity, computers, all different sorts of devices just in this room alone that are plugged into electricity. Now, 50 years ago, we didn't have as many smart devices, computers, and the like that we needed to keep plugged into electricity in order for our day-to-day to continue to operate. Whereas here in Bentonville, nowadays, you're going to see, with a lot of growth and expansion, you're going to see high-tension power lines. Now, Anthony, can't they put those underground? Yes, of course, my friend, they certainly could, but then your tax dollars are going a lot higher than where they are now. We're not talking about taxes today, that's a whole other topic, but that does factor into our cost of living. Before we move on to our next section, you may be interested to know, going on to the Bentonville City website, you can tell that the city planners have meetings like any good city planner would do. They're forward thinking or considering what's happening in the future. Now, there also has to be funding to be able to do those projects, but if you go onto Bentonville's website, you could see in certain areas, they have projected out there what they're going to do with road widening, sidewalk expansion, even building more connector trails from neighborhoods to the Razorback Greenway. Moving on to schools. If you are considering schools, and that is an important factor for you, not just your kids going to school, but many people want to buy a home in one of the best school districts. According to niche.com and many other websites, Bentonville Schools has ranked towards the top of Arkansas schools for at least the last 5 to 10 years. There are charter schools, private faith schools that you could go to here in Bentonville that are also highly rated. Please know that Bentonville School District doesn't end just at the borders of Bentonville. Bentonville School District goes into Centerton, parts of Rogers, Bella Vista, Gravette, and Cave Springs. As a foodie, are you looking for a wide variety of food? Well, my friend, look no further than downtown Bentonville. There's many restaurants down there that have a wide variety to tempt your palate. Of course, there's your traditional Sonics, Subways, McDonald's, Burger King, Taco Bell for fast food. We don't really have a whole lot of chain type of sit-down places in Bentonville like a Chili's or Chewy's or Olive Garden. Those are going to be over in Rogers. Some great Bentonville restaurants that you may be interested to know about are Conifer, Preacher's Son, Bar Cleta, The Hive, Table on Six, or Petite Bistro, just to name a few. Now, I would like to believe that if there was a wider variety of people who lived here from all over the world, we would have a wider variety of food options. Also, I personally like sushi. There's really only 2 or 3 places that you can get sushi in Bentonville. Speaking of diversity, let's talk about human diversity. According to World Population Review, Bentonville is currently 67% white, 13.28% Asian, 12.84% of folks who live here that have 2 or more races, and 3.81% are Black or African American. So still a predominantly white town. But if you look back in years past, you'll notice that Bentonville is increasing in its diversity. So again, like I mentioned in the last section, if we had more of a diverse population, we'd probably have more diversity in restaurants also. As I'm sure in the last couple years, my friend, no matter where you live in the country now, you have noticed the cost of living has increased significantly, and it's no different here in Bentonville. I have to always point out, if you're looking at state maps like this one, you can see that Arkansas is one of the most cost-effective states to live in the entire country. However, here in Northwest Arkansas, and more specifically Bentonville, Arkansas, we are in one of the most expensive towns in the entire state of Arkansas. Our cost of living in Bentonville would be more comparable to like Nashville, Kansas City, or maybe even suburbs of Denver, to give you some comparison. If you're a local friend of mine watching this, or you're somebody that just moved here, please understand, my friend, I believe that cost of living in Bentonville is going to continue to rise for the foreseeable future as more and more people continue to move here. If you're looking to be a little more cost effective and live near Bentonville, I would encourage you to look a little bit further east or west of the I-49 corridor. As a local real estate broker, I can show you statistical analytics that prove that the farther you get away from 49, the more cost-effective things can become for you. My friend, if cost of living is an important factor to you where you're looking to move, I would encourage you to visit Forbes.com and find their cost of living calculator. There you can plug in your city and also plug in Bentonville to see what type of income and what type of cost of living you might find in the difference of where you are now to where you might be here in Bentonville. One of the major costs to living is housing. Everybody needs a place to lay their head, my friends. Talking specifically about housing in Bentonville, I've pulled some statistical information together for you to help you see just how much we are appreciating in value and what the average cost for a home is here in Bentonville. At the beginning of this year, I did an exhaustive analysis of the region in general, all of Northwest Arkansas, and found out that since 2009, through the housing crisis, through the pandemic, that Northwest Arkansas, on average, appreciated at 5% per year. That's the region. We're talking about one of the most expensive places in Northwest Arkansas is Bentonville. My friend, I need to remind you, as we're talking about numbers, we're looking at averages. Now, you can't always take an average number and apply it to a specific situation. This is giving you a general understanding of what we're discussing here. Depending on where you're coming from, these may be just tiny numbers to you, my friend, but in 2014, the average home in Bentonville, Arkansas was purchased around $248,900. Through the course of the last 10 years, we saw an average appreciation in Bentonville of 8.67%. What? No, not every year, but every year but one since 2014, we saw prices go up in Bentonville. You may be saying, what? Average per year? I'll show you a chart here in a moment that breaks down the annual percentage increase since 2014 But you might be interested to know that in comparison, in 2024, the average home that has sold in Bentonville is $556,892. My friend, that is $307,992 difference than what it was 10 years ago. For those of you that are extremely analytic, we're looking at about 1,200 to 1,600 sales in Bentonville that happen each year. I had mentioned earlier that I would show you the average price appreciation year over year, and here is that chart. You can see from 14 to 15 was a 3.4% increase. 2016 was an 8.15% increase. From 2016 to 2017, we had a 3.6% decrease. Now, I will show another chart here in a moment, sharing with you that there were 8 homes, that sold over $1 million in 2016, which skewed the data a little bit, showing that our average price point went down because in 2017, there were only 3 homes that sold in Bentonville over $1 million. See here, I'm going to rapidly put this up for you. Years to note is 2020 to 2021, we saw an 18% appreciation increase, and 21 to 22, we saw a 23.9% house appreciation. Rounding out 2024 from 2023, we saw a 7.25% appreciation in Bentonville. Again, this is Bentonville in general and average prices, but one factor that we need to consider also to establish showing you how prices have increased in Bentonville is I'm going to show you a chart that shows you the amount of homes that sold in Bentonville that were over $1 million since 2014. As you can see here, it started out slow in 2014 with 6, then 1, then 8, as we had mentioned earlier, down to 3, 5, 8 in 2019. 2020, we saw 22 homes sell over $1 million. Then we started increasing rapidly from there. 38, then 76 in 22, 68 in 2023, and 72 so far here in 2024. So needless to say, the average price has gone up, but the upper register, the 7-figure homes, have increased also. And I should mention, there were a few years in there, we're not talking just $1 million to $2 million homes. There were a few homes over the years that sold in the multiple 7-figure range, like going from the $5 to $8 million range. There was a few of those homes that when you're only looking at 1,500 homes that sell each year, a couple of those will skew the data. If anything, my friend, this helps solidify an understanding that homes are getting more and more expensive in Bentonville. Moving on to healthcare, if you look at usnews.com, Arkansas is ranked like 47th or 48th in the country for healthcare. That's the state. Of course, I need to find more hyper-local content. We do have trauma centers here. We do have NICUs here. Maybe not level 1 or level 4 trauma or NICU centers, my friend. For something more specialized in Bentonville, you may need to go down to Rogers or Fayetteville. Something even more specialized, I would encourage you to look into St. Louis, Kansas City, Tulsa, Springfield, Dallas. If healthcare is extremely important to you in the next place that you're moving, I would encourage you to talk with your current practitioner, your current doctor, your current specialist, and have them give you a referral to someone here in Bentonville or here in Northwest Arkansas. What in the world would you need to go to the hospital for anyway? Well, my friend, Bentonville is located in the natural state of Arkansas. Here in Bentonville and the surrounding areas, you can go canoeing, boating, floating, hiking, biking, golfing, and camping, amongst many other outdoor activities. In regards to indoor activities, you could go to one of Bentonville's 8 museums. You could also go rock climbing, watch a movie downtown. Now, I'm sure you've probably never heard of this, but Bentonville is considered the mountain biking capital of the world. Oh, you've heard this before? Well, my friend, in fact, the U.S. mountain biking team is headquartered here in Bentonville, Arkansas. The major trail systems that we have here in Bentonville are Handcut Hollow, Slaughter Pen, and my personal favorite, Kohler Mountain Bike Preserve, which is just a short 5-minute drive down the street from my house. With the Razorback Greenway and all of the single-track trails, you might see a electric one-wheel. You could hike those trails. Bentonville's also very big on running. In fact, they have what's called the Bentonville Run Series. There's 5Ks and a half marathon that happens each year. Always some type of running event going on each year. There's also so many races that happen each year, like the Big Sugar or Little Sugar Bike Classic. Another bike race that just came to town is the Hincapie Grand Fondo. You may have heard of George Hincapie. There's the Bentonville Film Festival. There's the Bentonville Bike Fest. Referring back to traffic, if you're in town for one of those events, there's going to be traffic during that time of the festival. In regards to nightlife, there really isn't a nightlife in Bentonville. If you're looking for that, you may need to run down to Fayetteville, for instance. But I can tell you a story. One time, my wife and I went out to dinner. I believe it was Bentonville Taco and Tamale there off the square. We went to dinner around 7:30. We probably got out around 8:30, 8:45. By the time we went out to our car, there was like nobody on the square in Bentonville. It like shuts down. Let's go to bed, right? Bentonville is a corporate town, so a lot of stuff, my friend, closes 5, 6 o'clock. Yes, there's shops. Yes, there's restaurants, and there's things to do after 5, 6 o'clock, but starts to get more and more limited after your traditional 8 to 5 hours. Okay, politics, let's get it over and done with. Arkansas is a red state, my friend. Of the last few elections, Arkansas has voted as a Republican or red state. Benton County is no different, and I was unable to find voting results specifically just for Bentonville when it came to presidential election. But something I would point out that is probably more important, maybe different than where you've come from. In fact, I had someone recently reach out to me and said, hey, I'm going to be traveling in the area around election day. Is there going to be any social unrest? My friend, if you're watching, please understand that I can't predict the future, but understand that here in Northwest Arkansas, here in Bentonville, we can still have a conversation about politics with our neighbor, vote differently, and still get along at the end of the day. Whereas I know, because some of my clients have told me, where they come from elsewhere in the country, you might see riots, you might see marching, you might see people lose family members or friends over the way that you voted or your difference of opinion on. I don't tend to see that too much here in Bentonville. All right, let's be done with politics and move on to another important factor I'm sure that you're considering when moving to a new area is safety. I, as a real estate broker, have to be very careful when I talk about safety of an area, so I'm usually directing your attention to crimegrade.org. It's a wonderful website that you can type in a specific city and see what type of grade they give that city. Again, just like we talked about before with Forbes.com's living calculator, I would encourage you to go to crimegrade.org, plug in your city, and see what grade they gave your city in regards to this type of crime or that type of crime. Then look at Bentonville. Bentonville, I believe, at last check, had a B- crime grade. B-, is that really that bad? Of course, safety is subjective to the individual. What you might find dangerous or safe, I might not find dangerous or safe. You have to figure that out for yourself, but crimegrade.org is a great tool to check out. One of the last topics to discuss is why are so many people moving to Bentonville? Well, my friend, one of our major employers, in fact, one of the world's largest employers, is Walmart. They're headquartered right here in Bentonville. If you haven't heard of Walmart, where the heck have you been the last 50 years? How do I say this? Walmart is building a brand new campus to rival Google, to rival Apple's home offices. There's going to be restaurants and shops and hotels, places for employees and their guests to be able to enjoy the campus. In fact, there is going to be connector trails that run from the new Walmart home office into the Razorback Greenway, which stretches from Bella Vista all the way south of Fayetteville. Another reason so many people are moving here is because it's centrally located. Now, getting to Bentonville, Arkansas might not be as easy, or leaving Bentonville once you get here might not be as easy as a major city like Dallas or Denver or what have you. There's a national airport just west of Bentonville called XNA. The major airlines that serve Northwest Arkansas are Delta, Allegiant, American Airlines, United, Breeze, and Frontier. If you're needing to get to another city from Bentonville, you're probably going to need to connect somewhere in Houston or Dallas. If you're a pilot yourself and maybe like to do some recreational flying, you might be interested to know that Bentonville has Thaden Field. They have hangars. They're actually adding more hangars as we speak. You personally might have your own airplane, or they actually have a club there called Fly Oz that you can rent one of their airplanes to enjoy your hobby of flying. One last little topic before we move on. Please understand, my friend, that Bentonville is growing. And by that I mean there's going to be detours, there's going to be cranes, there's going to be construction sites all over Bentonville, just about everywhere you look. If it's not residential construction, it's commercial that's being developed. There's been a few hotels that are going up recently, the Walmart home office that we mentioned earlier. Don't be surprised if you move to Bentonville that there's a constant flow of construction always going around. As we wrap up this video, my friend, I told you I'd be giving you my opinion as to what I think needs to happen in regards to Bentonville's growth and sustainability. In no particular order, we need more affordable housing. We need to expand our green spaces. I would say we need to foster more economic diversity. Well, one, because Anthony wants to try some different restaurants. We need more public transportation. We desperately need to expand our roads, sidewalks. There's going to be more growth when it comes to schools and school districts. I know that those are starting to get a little full as well. A wider variety of restaurants, retail shopping, and grocery shopping also. As always, my friend, it is my pleasure to put this information together for you, and now you know a little bit more about what life is like in and around Bentonville. Thanks for watching.